My name is Brian Panish.
My name is Wyatt Vesterman.
We practice across the country handling plaintiff cases, financial loss, and cases that can be very complex or they could be an individual.
Here we have an infant child who has suffered the worst harm really imaginable. Everything that makes a human being was taken from this child.
It's always tragic when some child is not cared for appropriately by their parents. In this case, it's more tragic as JG was young and could not even comprehend what was going to go on.
We saw a child who, during the times that this should have been exponential growth, just completely inconsistent with what you would expect a normal, healthy child to be growing at. And on top of that, there were some other manifestations of the malnutrition: rashes, swelling of hands and feet, shrinking of the neck, and a deformity in the rib cage. And that's when we learned about, Child Protective Services was actually aware of this child's circumstances, knew that this child was in danger. And then there was a gap. Okay, so they were aware of what was going on with him, and yet he ended up in this condition. And so that's where our investigation began.
As we prepare these cases for trial, we want to be able to tell a visual story. And in this case, how was JG progressing as time went versus where he should have been had he been at the appropriate level.
We had this child's growth curve, and it was fluctuating like crazy. It was completely inconsistent with that slow and steady growth that you would expect to see. And so we had the charts, but the charts can only go so far. You can't actually say, okay, well, what did the child look like? So working with Brian Panish, we came up with the concept of actually visualizing this child's pediatric growth relative to a normal, healthy child. And that split screen effect is what we were looking for and what we relied on DK Global to help bring home for us.
First and foremost, we want to protect the client's interests as best we can and to get a financial recovery that will allow them to get all the care that they need. But furthermore, we want to make sure that if we can, that this won't happen to anybody else. An agreement was reached, but I think it was both sides give and take, back and forth, and willing to talk to one another with a good mediator, and that's why the case was settled.
We did settle on a number that I think was reasonable given the damages that we were dealing with, what this child went through, and the settlement was for $32 million.
In addition, there was an apology by the county and a commitment to make change.
In terms of working with DK Global, my biggest advice to plaintiffs' attorneys is get them involved early. Having that ammunition in your back pocket, can become critical.
It's a collaborative effort, takes a lot of work. Picture's worth 1,000 words. You can't go to trial without them. And in this case, the progression timeline really, I think, hammered home the point that there were red flags all over the place for anyone that was looking that would have been able to prevent this tragedy from occurring.
The great part about working with DK Global is you can get hands-on. You can go ahead and work directly with the animators, directly with the design team, and make suggestions in real time. I wanted to make sure that the vision that Brian and I had come up with was being executed at the highest level, and DK Global delivered. There's no doubt about that.
DK Global is great to work with, very responsive, and we've done a lot of work with them over the years and created some great visual aids.
I do not believe that this case would have settled the way it did without the help of DK Global.